So going into this, I mentioned I'd seen this before. I had mentioned that, I had a friend that loved to watch this movie over and over again. I didn't think any of it. Rewatching this movie was, so I've said this before, but this is the first time I've watched this movie since starting my channel. It's been years since I've watched it, probably since 2012, maybe. It's been a while. So sitting down to watch this, and from beginning to end, this movie is nuts. I mean nuts. Let me give you a plot crunch. And with this plot crunch, you might think it's something different, but then once I start talking about the movie, you're gonna be like, what? So, the story is that Eugene and Tucker are best friends. When they're younger, they are playing The Floor is Lava, and to get to the coveted Michael Jordan rookie card. But they find it, but they also find a Playboy, which interests Tucker. Years later, he's become obsessed with it. This is the crux of the story. But we also have Eugene, who's now in high school, and he has a girlfriend. They're both abstinent, and they're preaching abstinence stuff to middle schoolers. I mean, we'll get to it when I get to the plot. But then Cindy, Eugene's girlfriend, says that she wants to lose her virginity to Eugene before they graduate and move on to college and stuff. So they decide to do it, and at a party, Cindy goes upstairs to wait for him. Eugene gets drunk, falls down the stairs, and gets put into a coma for 4 years. He wakes up, his dad has left him, his girlfriend is gone, and Tucker is there. Tucker is now dating Candace, who was a girl who threatened him at the beginning of the movie, and now they're just dating. And then Tucker finds in his newest issue of Playboy that Cindy is the titular Miss March. Yeah. So they go on a journey to the Playboy Mansion to find her. So with that, you think it's a typical road trip comedy with wacky stuff happening, but wacky doesn't begin to describe this movie. So I explained basically the beginning of the movie is that they're playing The Floor is Lava, they find the Playboy, and then it transitions to them as teenagers. And we introduce them as teenagers, and we're introduced to Cindy, his girlfriend, and they're talking to these middle schoolers, but Tucker's in the audience too, for some reason. And they start talking to these middle schoolers about what happened to Eugene's brother. Apparently, Eugene's brother had sex with his girlfriend when they were teenagers. She had venereal disease. He didn't know that, and he got syphilis. She got pregnant, and the baby was born a crackhead, or at least we're told by the voice dubbed over voice, it's a crackhead. The reason I say that is because it says crackhead, but if you read the lips, it says the R word. Apparently, saying the R word, even in the unrated cut, is no good. So, yeah. And then they show these 11 and 12-year-olds a picture of the venereal disease, which just had me going, what? And then we get the whole, well, first of all, we cut to Eugene is in a tree outside Cindy's window because that's normal, and he's on the phone with her, and she's like, did you think about what I asked you? She wants to lose her virginity before they go to college. So he says yes, and then Tucker gets him drunk. He falls down the steps at this party, ends up in a coma, wakes up 4 years later after Tucker hits him in the head with a baseball bat. I'm not kidding. That's what wakes him up from his 4-year coma, is that Tucker hits him in the head with a baseball bat, and he wakes up. And I kid you not, the doctor thinks this is a miracle. This is a miracle way to wake them up, because there's a stinger at the end of the film where the doctor is trying to wake up this woman with a baseball bat, and it's this black woman who's like, "I'll get you, Tucker Clay." I don't. I really don't know if we've met her before. Is she one of Horstick Peg's hoes? I don't know. But or is this would be a stinger for a sequel that we never got, which that's fine. This movie is balls to the walls. But by the way, his name is Tucker Clay. You think it would be spelled Clay? No, for some reason it's spelled Cleigh. Why? What? Why? Why? It doesn't. That doesn't make any sense. So when Eugene wakes up, he finds out his dad left because he got moved because of his job. Cindy's gone, and Tucker says he doesn't know where she is. So they're, basically. And there's this running joke that they run into the ground. So because Eugene has been in a coma for 4 years, his body is not used to normal things. He has atrophy, he can't walk, and his bowels are not adequate. So when he gets excited, he shits himself. And it would be funny if they did this once, but it's a running joke throughout the film, and in fact, ends the film just. It's not funny. Even the first time, it's really not that funny. Giggled a little bit, but they do it too much. Like there's this scene, and he wakes up and he gets all excited and he does it. And then later, when Tucker rushes in to show him that Cindy is in the Playboy, he does it again. And then they cut. It'd be one thing if they just cut from that to something else, but they afterwards have the nurse cleaning it up and wringing it out, and it's like, okay, that's too much. That's too much. They make reference to it, and it happens a couple more times. Like I said at the end too, it's like when I said in the Pineapple Express about how they have a joke where it's funny, and then they take it a little bit too far, and it's not funny. This, they just completely, before it's even funny, they just ruin it. Did I mention that the two main actors in this film directed this film? Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, so Tucker gets a Playboy delivered to his work for some reason, and he finds that Cindy is the Playboy playmate of the month, Miss March, the titular Miss March. Now, this is a nitpick, I know, but as someone who has viewed a Playboy before, not just for the pictures, and I'm serious, I've read the articles and the stories and stuff. It's not just pictures, people. You don't need to, and you go there for the nudity, but you stay for the articles and the stories and stuff. It's not, and the cartoons are funny as hell, let me tell you. But anyway, she's the centerfold, right? I don't know why I breathe like that. She's the centerfold. And it'd be one thing. It's one of those things where it's the main actress, and the main actress, you don't want to show her nude. So it'd be one thing if they just kept looking at it. But they actually show the centerfold picture. Because the main actress, she's covered up. Like, she's kind of like this, covering up, like that. And it'd be one thing, like, I understand, actress doesn't want to show herself naked. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. But then don't show the picture. Because centerfolds, as far as I know, don't do that. They at least show, the twins. But, as far as I know. But, yeah, it just doesn't. And what doesn't make sense is earlier in the film when he's looking at it, when Tucker's looking at it, Eugene asks him, "Do you think she's still a virgin?" And he looks at the picture. It's like, nah, no way. And it's like, how can you tell from that picture everything's covered up? Is it because she's naked? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. So meanwhile, after this, we go to Tucker is on a date with Candace, who, as I mentioned, kind of threatened him when they're in high school, which, by the way, you could maybe say that the actors who play Eugene and Tucker could pull off being seniors in high school. Sure. But both Sydney and Candace look like they're in their mid-20s, which they were, but they look like it. Unlike the other two, which could pull, maybe. Okay, maybe just Tucker, because he has the brain capacity of a 17-year-old. But, no, that's being too generous. Tucker's brain capacity is of a 5-year-old. And as I keep going, you'll understand what I mean by that. So Tucker takes Candace out on their 13th month anniversary. Oh no, it's, at least for him, it's not a 13-month anniversary of dating. Oh no. It's 13-month anniversary of when they first did it. Because Tucker doesn't like commitment. So he doesn't even acknowledge that they're dating. Because later he has a voicemail where she calls him his boyfriend, her boyfriend, and he's like, "You said boyfriend? Because I thought we talked about this." It's like, okay, you get it. So you go on a date. She gives him this pipe, which is just like Hugh Hefner's pipe, which becomes a plot point. And then we cut to Tucker running into the hospital, grabbing Eugene, and taking off with him. As they're driving away, he explains what happens. Because when they're at the hospital, they get ready to leave. He's getting ready to take off and stuff. Candace is there, and she got marks on her face. And as they're driving away, then he explains that he went back to his place. He gave her a stripper pole, and she starts to try to dance around it. She gets nervous at first, but she really gets going. I forgot to mention, Candace has epilepsy, and that's another plot point. And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. And some of the stuff that comes out of Tucker's mouth, he's like, well, something's wrong with me, something's wrong with you. She's like, epilepsy is a serious condition. Yeah, it's stupid. It's like, whatever. So, as she's doing this, that she's really getting into it, she decides to start going down, right? Of course, you don't see it. But then, Tucker is like, hey, look, a strobe light. Turns on the strobe light. You don't do that to someone with epilepsy. She immediately goes into a seizure and is biting his dingly-dongly. He responds, and it's a knee-jerk reaction, but he responds by stabbing her in the face with a fork. You don't. Okay, now, I don't know how much it would help, but the first thing you want to do is turn off the strobe light. It'll at least help a little bit. It might not stop it completely, but might help just a little bit. I'm not 100% sure on that, but just a little bit. That's the first thing you do is stop it. Whatever is agitating the person with epilepsy, you want to turn that off so it's not doing it. It's going to help, however, so slightly. Not completely, but it's going to be the first step. And you don't want to stab him in the face. That could make it worse. But yeah. And her brother is a firefighter, so now they have firefighters on their trail. So they stop at a gas station where we engage in some wacky hijinks as Tucker goes in to give Eugene some clothes and leaves the atrophied Eugene to fill the car with gas. And the following scene is so cringy, I didn't want to watch it anymore. I'm like, do I have to do this? Did I have to do this movie? Why am I doing this? Why am I watching this? Why? This is terrible. He's trying to fill the car with gas, but he can't walk, and he puts it in upside down. Gas goes everywhere. Then a wind comes and blows his hospital gown up, so we see his ass, and because of course. And there's these two guys watching him, and they see this, and I laugh because it's just them. Thought of them standing there seeing this. It's a little funny. Then Tucker comes out. I don't think they ever paid for the gas, but he gives him the clothes, which is like a shirt with it. It's one of those shirts. There's like a bikini top, like a woman in a bikini. And there's a shirt with, one of those things. And Tucker's like, "Oh, I'm okay, dude. I've been doing this stuff that's keeping me awake, so I'll be fine." And then, so Eugene falls asleep and he has this nightmare about Candace being a slut now for some reason, and he wakes up to Tucker being asleep. And so they end up staying in a hotel, and Tucker says, Yeah, that stuff was keeping me too awake, so I had some NyQuil. What? No. It's like, oh, I'm awake now. We can just go. And so they're staying at this hotel. And then, once again, it's Tucker's fault. Eugene kind of, makes a remark about the Playboy Mansion being stupid or whatever. And so he freaks out and starts teaching them about the etiquette of the Playboy Mansion. They get on robes, and then he takes out his pipe. He lights it, which causes the entire hotel to burn down. And then the firemen show up. And Tucker is like, oh no, here comes the firemen, as a joke. And then as they're looking at him and looking at his paper and they get angry, he's like, oh no, here's the firemen. And so they take off. Well, duh, you should have left when the firemen showed up. So their quest that they're on right now is they're going to Chicago to meet their friend Phil, also known as Horse-Dick-Mpeg. Now, he was introduced earlier in the film. He takes them to prom. And I point out this because there's a plot point later that doesn't make any sense with this unless you really think about it. So when they go pick up Cindy, Cindy's parents are there, Cindy's there, and one of his hoes, as they call him, pops out, squirts this white liquid out of her mouth, and says, oh, Horse Dick, you crazy. And implying that he finished in her mouth. However, from what we find out later, doesn't make any sense. But he's become a musician in the 4 years that, that Eugene's been in a coma. So they go to visit him because he could get them into the Playboy Mansion. They go to visit him, and he's singing this song that makes no sense. The song goes, suck my dick while I fuck your ass, yeah. Suck my dick while I fuck your ass, yeah. That is how the song goes. And it's the same set of lyrics over and 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 over. Do you get it? And what is frustrating is not that it goes over and over and over and over again. It's the fact that the lyrics make no sense because she can't be on while you're in a printer. You can't. It's not physically possible to do that. So it makes no sense. It makes no sense. You can't do that. It's supposed to be funny, but it comes off stupid. And then Tucker says, oh, I wish Candace was here. She would love this song. And Eugene, the voice of reason in this entire film, goes, no, she wouldn't. She's trying to kill you. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I mean, that didn't happen. I have a little table sitting in front of my couch. I went. Because I was just like, what? How could you forget that? And we are shown that she is following them because she shows up at the burnt down hotel and picks up the thing. So, Horse-Dick agrees to take them to the Playboy Mansion. But then he mentions that he made it with Cindy, and Eugene gets pissed, so they get left on the road and are picked up by two lesbians who agreed to take them to the Playboy Mansion if they drive, and the lesbians can make out and do whatever in the back seat. So there's that. And they finally get to the Playboy Mansion. And I will say this goes pretty quick. For all the stuff that happens, it's pretty quick. This movie is about 90 minutes. I watched the unrated version. I don't know if there's a difference in time, but it's about 90 minutes or so. So it goes at a pretty brisk pace. So they're at the Playboy Mansion now. Playboy Mansion. You get a cameo from Hugh Hefner. And then you get some Playmate stuff. Horse-Dick is there. Mpeg, is there. And then we get Eugene confronting Cindy, which they think is a stalker, but he tries to explain what happened. And we get the reveal that this whole thing, this whole problem, is because Tucker is a fucking idiot. I'm serious. It's all Tucker's fault. Because apparently she was doing this to pay for Eugene's hospital bills. Tucker was in the know of it But he didn't know it because he's a fucking idiot. Because Consuela, the nurse there, tries to tell him, but he's like, oh, I don't speak Spanish. And then when other stuff, people are talking about it, he's not paying attention, or he's got a blow-up doll and trying to do something else because he's a fucking idiot. So yeah, if Tucker wasn't a fucking idiot, he would be able to tell him what's going on, but he didn't. So he went all that way for nothing. Well, Playboy Mansion. Then Candace shows up. And after some, angry stuff, they do get back together. And Hugh Hefner lets them back in the house. And then... oh, it's revealed the horse dick Don Mpeg has no dick. He was born without genitalia, and this has 2 straws sticking out. Which, again, leads me back to the scene at the beginning with the hoe, spitting out the white stuff. And it makes you think, so... At first it made me think, because I remembered it. I'm like, wait, I remember that he didn't have anything. So, because even when that happened, I'm like, wait, he didn't have a genitalia. So, how does that work? Like, the 2 things popped up. Either, which is probably the most likely, but when I was watching this, and the more dumber it got, I was thinking, they came up with this idea like last second. Guaranteed at the beginning this was supposed to be a joke, like a jizz joke, and now it's a week. They did say he doesn't have a dick. It'd be so funny, but really, and this is probably giving too much credit, but it seems well thought out for the most part. Is that it seems like that people were fronting for him, his hoes or whatever they were lying, like he was paying them money to lie and say, But wasn't Tucker in the limo? Because they show him in the limo afterwards. Wasn't he in there when it happened? I don't know. But yeah, he doesn't have a dick. And then we cut to Tucker and Eugene. And look, So I remembered this wrong at first. I was like, oh, they do the joke again, don't they? That would have been fine compared to how they end this movie. Well, their story anyway. So, they start drinking again. They have one shot. You know what? You need to have a couple more Tucker says this, by the way. A couple more drinks to loosen up. Okay, and they have more drinks. I don't know, have sex with my girlfriend. And then the joke rate falls down again. It would have been fine to end there, cut the credits. Just fine. But they go one step further, because of course this movie goes one step further. They cut to him in bed with Cindy going, oh, I'm good, aren't they? He's like, yeah, you're great, Eugene, you're great, Eugene. Oh no, don't ever exhaust yourself. Gotta have one last shit joke, don't we? If it's been shown that Cindy and Eugene were the 2 smartest people in this movie, by far. Candace to a point too. So wouldn't it seem that they were like, oh, we can't have sex right now because you just learned how to walk again, and 2, you are not ready to get excited. It just doesn't. No, we can have one last joke. And then we cut in the credits to the doctor that is aware that it was a baseball bat that woke Eugene up and says, I found a new way to wake people out of their comas. And proceeds to hit a patient with a baseball bat once, twice, and he goes to it the 3rd time, and it's this black lady who I don't know if we've met. Maybe we did. I don't know. I don't care. Who says, I'll get you, Tucker Clay, and end the movie. There's no sequel. Of course not. This movie is a special kind of terrible. And I wasn't prepared for this at all. Going in, I thought this would be a middle of the road. Maybe a high, not worth your time. But this movie is in a special breed of its own. So special that I usually put this in another series on my channel. Because I picked it for this specific series, I have to put it in here. So I just have to say that Miss March is so bad, it's good. There are some funny moments, but overall, it's just, balls to the walls. I could say it's Fry in Hell, but I actually don't hate it. I just think it's fucking stupid. There's a difference. I can hate a movie for being so bad, but this gets so bad, so stupid, so balls to the walls crazy that it's just so bad it's good. So we move on now. Oh, one more thing before I move on. We have another recurring cast member here with Craig Robinson, who plays Horstick.mpeg. Write him down. And he has 2 marks on him. So we got Bill Hader with 2, Jason Segel and Paul Rudd with 1 each for now, and Craig Robinson with 2. So we'll see how long that last recurring cast was. But yeah, so we move on. All right. 8. I don't think I have 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No. Gotta do it again. Don't have 11 either. This is only 10. 10. No, that's not what I meant. 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right. All right. So, okay. First of all, these are... Dude, where's my car? Where's your car, dude? It's not upside down this time. Dude, where's my car? Alright. I didn't do this in the last video. What I usually do is I put the disc back in the actual case. I forgot to do that before Miss March. So, dude, where's my car will be next. I'll probably tackle that tomorrow because it's late. About almost 11:30. Say almost 11. It's a quarter after 11, I should say. 11:15. So, what are your thoughts on Miss March? Comment below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.